walked into my house tonight, and I felt like my back exploded. It was just ridiculous. Like, all of a sudden, pain in my back, felt completed, and I made supper, and I was hoping that watching AEW energize me and get me ready for this show, but instead, I'm like halfway through the main event, and I start dozing off. So, this might be a short show because I didn't see a lot of it. I was also choose, and honestly, for the first time since AEW started, I felt like this was just a wrestling show.
You know, that's funny that you say that, because I enjoyed every single match except for one. I felt like the fact that they focused on tag teams. We had the two, semifinal matches to set up the final, which we'll get to in a second, because there was some disappointment there. And then we had the versus Best Friends, which I thought was a good TV match, and I actually really liked Moxley versus Pac match. So, we've got 5 out of 6 matches that I really, really liked. I thought there was some good character development. I thought there was some good performances. I just really liked a lot of it.
Cool. I'm glad that you did. But like the first match, I told you're gonna have to talk about them because it was so choppy on my end. The internet. For those of you who don't know, I don't have cable. I'm a cord cutter, so I'm watching on the TNT app, and for some reason my internet was just terrible the first 20 minutes of the show. So it just
the funniest thing about that.
So I saw like every part of the match, I suppose, but I was getting 15 seconds delays or so between sections of it, and it was just got to the point where I was just fed up with it.
The funniest part about you being a cord cutter is it's because I kept convincing you to be a cord cutter. Because I cut everything, was done with cable, done with satellite, 6 years ago, and then I got some deal through AT&T, so I've got it back again, and I don't know that I'll ever give up DirecTV as long as I can afford it. There's so much goodness to it and I don't watch it much, but for the amount I pay, it's definitely worth it. But the first match was between Private Party and Lucha Brothers.
Yes.
And while it might not have been the greatest, I'm not going to give it a 5-star rating, maybe not even a 4-star rating, but it was definitely pay-per-view quality. And that is what I note about AEW.
Wait. We're living in 2019. If a match is not 4-star, it is not pay-per-view quality.
Not if you watch NJPW. I'm getting there, dude. Slow down.
All right.
Slow your... All right, we got to clean up that. I got to beep that. Anyway.
I just did the eye, and you didn't react to it. That's
yeah, I heard I'm going to ignore it because I just can't tonight. I can't deal with that kind of... It's still real to me, damn it. First 3 weeks of this. We're on episode 3, and they have started every show with a pay-per-view quality match. Sammy and Cody, and then we had the tag match last week with the Bucks and Private Party. Actually, this is episode. And then we had the tag match last week and the tag match this week, and all of them have been to the point where, and maybe it's because we're accustomed. Well, no. Because you and I grew up in the 80s and 90s. There was always crap on pay-per-view. The fact that these were matches that were the quality of New Japan has impressed me. And it's one thing that I thought Private Party did an amazing job. I felt even in the loss, and to be honest, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but they left who the finals was going to be, and they have for weeks. It annoys me that they did it because when Lucha Brothers came out and confronted SCU in the beginning, it was SCU, but it was SCU and it was Frankie and Scorpio Sky that were the two big components, and who were a face tag team and confront a face tag team that wasn't even going to be a tournament. It was so much foreshadowing as to what the finals were going to be that it was almost embarrassing. And I've been saying that it's a foregone conclusion. So it doesn't surprise me that it ended up the way it did, but I got to give all props to both Dark Order and Private Party, They were, both of them were amazing. There were some moves that I've never seen before, things that they did, that both of them did in each match that impressed me, and Private Party is quickly becoming one of my favorite tag teams. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this was all, like you said, I mean, they've been foreshadowing it for 4 weeks, but it really, and they did the same when they set up who was going to have the bye, and they made it in dark order. And sometimes it's just book things predictably like that, but, you know, what, I really don't get why they did it this way in this one, because it just doesn't make you have been the Lucha Bros this week, you know.
Well, and that's why I said last week, they're doing such a job of foreshadowing, because even when you watch this, others are still the face tag team. They're still the crowd favorites. They're not doing the underhanded tactics. So, and SCU, I mean, obviously they're a face tag history. And the way they were brought in the company.
That said something like, you know, they're not getting as many cheers as they would if they hadn't attacked SCU this week. Well, really?
Exactly. Well, and it's funny because they and believe me, I'm not a fan of Jim Ross. That dude is growing on me big time. And Shivani does give his, when he comes in, he's usually on. There were a few times tonight where I was like, but for the most part, he's usually on. And that was one of those lines that really, really stuck out as the bad guys. Why are we all of a sudden making Lucha Brothers the bad guys? Just because we healed.
Well, you know, the thing with Dark is he works a lot better as a bad guy. He's actually going to be a bad guy. It's when he's doing the whole taunting crowd and while also trying to be bad that it doesn't work.
It's getting armed. They're not bad guys. Ray Phoenix is so popular, and he is legitimately one of the best in the world.
I need to find out how I can watch that Ray Phoenix versus Mega match.
Oh, it was amazing. It's on YouTube.
All right, cool.
I saw it. It was amazing. Amazing. Well, and you know that and the thing with these all our shows are ADD shows, but the fact that this is AEW After Dark, we're definitely going to be all over the map. And I was texting you throughout the night little things that I kind of wanted to bring up. Simply, my memory is all there. But how special are we at this point to get Giga on our TVs more than once every month?
And Omega that's motivated, even though he's, you know, wrestling for the first time. Remember, last year he became a Japanese citizen.
Well, and not just that. Even when he's had his down moments, he is still the best on the planet. He is so good at storytelling, even in his losses. He is so good at everything that he does. The match, the way they lay out matches. I mean, match with him and Joey Janela might have been the best match of the night.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really good. I like it. You already know this. I mean, I had trouble focusing on anything on this show. So.
Right. Well, yeah, and I get that. I just think it's so, we are in, just the fact that we get to be able to watch a guy like Kenny is able to bring kind of that New Japan feel that he had, the New Japan storytelling that he's able to do, which made him the best in the world, to an American audience. And we're able to see him. I mean, we're a month in. This is his third match. It's just
not just Kenny, though. I mean, I think the entire presentation is like New Japan meets American style production.
Right, exactly. And I'm using Kenny as an example because Kenny last year was voted the best wrestler in the world, and you know he put time and time again as the best bout machine, and for 2 years straight, there was so much greatness out of Kenny Omega that it was hard. It's hard to look at him and go, okay, you're just a mid-tier guy. You can't. And he is so great at storytelling, and he proved it again tonight.
Well, I don't know, Jeff. I mean, obviously Seth Rollins is correct that Kenny Omega has to be a mid-tier guy if he doesn't come to the big place to
don't get me
money.
don't get me started on that fucking stupid Seth Rollins shit again. I swear to God, I think he's just out there doing it just to get some clickbait and some eyes to the TV, because he has this is the second time in 3 months, 4 months
This is June,
that he started a Twitter war with one of the best in the world because they're not in WWE. At this point, I don't even want to give him any credence, and that's God. I'm just done. I don't know what his game is. I don't understand where he's coming from. Anybody who is a true wrestling fan, and we've had many, many, many in the industry come out and disagree with Seth, guys that, even though, hey, you know what, we might not like what they're doing now, we might not like where they're at, they've come out and they've been like, dude, seriously, Will Ospreay, you don't think he's good? And look at guys in the WWE. Randy Orton came out. Zyder came out. There's a lot of guys in the WWE that were like, seriously, Seth, stop it. And now we've got him trying to start shit with Kenny Omega too.
Yeah, it's just silly.
It's embarrassing is what it is. But
right.
that's,
and,
we'll talk about that.
What's most embarrassing about it is it's all a matter of taste anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what wrestling is.
I mean, you and I can say Will Ospreay best wrestler on the planet right now, and somebody else can say Seth Rollins is, because it just depends on what you're looking for.
Hey, and some people can say.
When Rollins is number one point as far as who's the best in the world is either the amount of money that person makes, or the amount of money that the company that they work for makes, then right. You're comparing apples to oranges. Quality is not measured by money or by ratings. It's measured, it's measured by lots of different ways, by lots of different people, with lots of different opinions. So,
well,
that's
really
one
thing.
Ridiculous for a professional to get in that kind of a Twitter war.
And that's one thing you and I have been preaching for 5 years now. It's all a matter of taste. I may like something that you don't. Ryan might like something that you and I don't. Kathy might like something. Imp might like something. Everyone is going to have a different view on things, and that's because wrestling is one of the few things on this planet that is 100% objective to your taste. And it goes back to, you look at the 90s. What made WCW popular was the luchadors coming in, the cruiserweight division. It wasn't because that was necessarily everybody's taste. It was just something new, and a lot of people that enjoyed that type of wrestling got onto it. And now it's created what we have now, where literally everybody is a luchador, regardless of their size. So it's really all subjective on what you think and what you feel, and everybody has a different opinion, which is why nobody can ever agree on who is in the world.
Right, exactly.
But back to this show.
Back to the show. But it's also like just the style. I mean, it's also like it's the style of AEW. Like tonight's show. You loved it. You loved almost every second of it. You said, and that's great. I'm really happy that you did.
Outside of the Brit
and maybe like if I was in a better state right now, I would feel the same. Or if I'd been able to actually watch a lot of the show without a whole lot of buffering on my end, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But
that's what happened to me last week.
It's like there's people that will have enjoyed AEW tonight more than I did. Or or maybe like I enjoyed our previous episodes more than other people did, and there's people that are going to enjoy NXT more than AEW. I mean, it's all a matter of your taste, and that's the thing is like wrestling fans shouldn't be fighting other wrestling fans over what they're watching. I've been saying that for now, that just don't.
Oh Jesus!
Don't fight over wrestling companies. Wrestling companies fight for you. So.
You and I have been saying that for 5 years? I mean, that was one of the big things on our when we initially started doing these shows back in 2015. Right. We talked about how great different promotions were compared to what was the norm. And I remember saying in one of our episodes, love what you love. Everybody's going to be different. Everyone's going to have their different feel. Everyone's going to have something different to enjoy. Because it's all about your personal taste.
I mean, there's one thing that puts AEW ahead of everybody else for me right now, and that's simply that they're live. You know, I mean, if Impact was live on a regular basis on a TNT, they might be my number one promotion.
See, and I don't care about the live factor. I really don't. If you're putting out great product,
we wouldn't be doing this show with an instant reaction if it wasn't live.
Well, for us personally, because of what we're doing, yeah, it's great that it's live. But in all honesty, I don't put that kind of onus on it because this is really the only live show that I watch every single week. The rest of them are all on tape delay. They're all on, I watch them throughout the week. Even if I ever do check out anything on Raw and SmackDown or NXT, it's later on in the week. So, I get it. The live aspect does have something, but that's not the all end all. Not in today's world.
I saw a line from one of my favorite books today, which is the first tenet of the Windrunners in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson.
Really?
And that is life before death, strength before weakness, determination. And you really, fan, you inhabit that last part of that sentence because unlike me, you can be spoiled on a match and still be like, I want to see it. Whereas for me, if a destination, I cannot enjoy the journey. It's just a pose, but at the same time, it's like something like I want to know I want to see it build to something rather than know what it's building to before I watch it. So yes, I agree with you that I enjoy shows whether they're taped or live. It's just that I have to avoid social media if I'm going to watch something that's already happened.
Right. There's so many people out there that it's not like it was in 1995 or even 2005. You can't do anything these days on tape delay because 47,000 people will tweet, the results.
Right. When we were growing up, we wouldn't hear the results on something unless we had subscribed to PWI Weekly or we were buying the magazines when they came out 3 months after the event happened. Or we just watched the results on Superstars or something. I mean, we didn't know what had happened until usually we had rented the video and watched it.
Right, exactly.
And now you don't even have to rent a video. You just get it the next day from some other source somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't. You and I've used those sources at times. I like to promote those because I do think that paying for a pay-per-view is still, whether I can afford it or not, if you can afford it, paying for a pay-per-view is still the ultimate satisfaction because you're giving to your favorites.
And while we're on that subject, if you're an independent wrestling fan, if you're a wrestling fan and you're not supporting the independent wrestling shows around you, you're not doing your job as a fan.
Exactly, and
go to the shows. If you see wrestlers you like, buy their merchandise. You never know what you're putting. That you're putting food on that guy's table first of all, and secondly, you never know what's going to lead for them down the road.
Well, yeah, and I feel bad because I ended up really sick, which during the last local show we had, so I didn't know, but God, I wanted to. And it's not because I knew anybody that was there. It's not because it was some sold out WWE or AEW or Ring of Honor event. It's because there is nothing on this planet like live wrestling, regardless of who's in the ring. If you can go to a ring and you can get into a it's being told, that's the best feeling on this planet. Plain and simple. And it might be because I've been a wrestling fan for 40-some years, but thrilled to me, damn it.
Well, yeah, it certainly is, and that's why one reason why you're looking so much forward to when AEW finally comes around here somewhere in Minnesota, where you get a chance to see them live.
One thing I did notice about them tonight, and maybe it's because we're getting the dark, the AEW dark on YouTube, but when they hit live, they're already running on the ground. It's not getting that curtain jerker. We're not getting that, guys. The crowd is already fed up because they've seen an hour of incredible wrestling.
Yeah.
And then we hit what on a pay-per-view would be a card. And that's what opens the show. So when we get into the actual show, like tonight with Lucha Brothers and Private Party, which, by the way, anyone has a chance to go back and watch it, watch it. Private Party is future superstars, not just stars, and I'm not saying the WWE superstars. These guys are going to be talked about in the next 5 years as some of the best on the planet. They are that good. And they stood last week or 2 weeks ago toe-to-toe with Bucks. This week they stood toe-to-toe with Lucha Brothers, and they put on a hell of a performance. One of the better matches I've seen in a long time, because it was not so much storytelling, but it did have storytelling, which is weird in a Lucha Brothers match. There was some storytelling going on, but there were things I saw in this match that I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen that before. Montez Ford, and I can't think of or not Montez Ford. Is it Montez? No, that's the other company.
Other guys.
Who are these guys? The blonde.
I can never remember names.
Right, and I can't either, and I'm pissed off that I can't. But they are future superstars. They may not be there yet, but there's going to come a time in the near future when people are talking about that same breath they talk about the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks now.
Well, let's not give short shrift to the future of Rey Fénix either, or Pentagon for that matter. I mean, yeah, they might already be at that superstar level, but just recently, I mean, last at All Out,
we didn't know who they were. I remember saying to you at All In, year and a half ago, that this guy is going to be a future superstar. I love this guy. He's amazing. I remember saying that to you, and now we look.
We'd already seen him on Lucha Underground, of course, but
yeah.
But really, as far as a big stage, that was his first exposure to it, and now he's considered, to be, in the first of all, in one of the top world, which yes, definitely one of the top teams, but not, in my opinion, the top team. But secondly, I have said for months that Rey Fénix is the modern day version of Rob Van Dam, just with more talent.
A lot more talent.
But he's just as dynamic. He's just as exciting, but with with longer staying power and a bigger drive to increase his moveset and get better. So if you're not already a fan of Rey Fénix, I think you need to get on that bandwagon.
Well, and again, it's all your perspective. You might not like his style of wrestling, but I truly believe that Rey Fénix brings a bit of everything to the table. He's one of those, and I can't remember the last time we saw a guy like this that was so talented that he literally encompassed every single part of wrestling. Maybe Austin Aries? Maybe.
Maybe. Because Fénix also, he's Mexican, but he's still very good on the microphone.
Yeah, he is. He really is. And he's a guy that can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Heavyweights, cruiserweights, doesn't matter. He's explosive. He's fun to watch. And, maybe you and I might have a different opinion on it because we have some kind of weird love for Austin Aries that a lot of people don't share. But that's probably my closest comparison that I can come to for a guy that, what is Rey Fénix, 23, 24? And Austin Aries is pushing 40? That might be the best comparison I can come up with.
I like that comparison. And the other with Fénix is simply that, we see so many suicide dives all the time, which is why it amused me that Tony Schiavone said, "Oh, I just love suicide dives." But
right, I heard that.
But my point is that Fénix has found a way to make his versions of them unique and from different angles, and making them actually mean something again.
Which is so weird because it's a suicide dive just to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, continuing on. I mean, this is the AEW Aftershock, and we've kind of shock, and we've kind of gone off the rails a little bit. Like,
not really. We're talking about the guys that were in the tag team tournament finals, and Mysterio was one of them. I mean, Mysterio, Phoenix was one of them.
One that I need to point out, and I hate to say it, but I called it like 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks.
Besides, it's our job to go off the rails.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what we do. That's what we're known for at this point. One thing that I called like 3 weeks ago, and I think it was solidified tonight, MJF in AEW is a face. Did you hear the pop he got?
I did hear the pop he got, but I'm gonna just say that he's not a face. He's a character.
He is a face. Did you see the way that he was taunting Jericho when they were in the hallway, when they were going up the stairs? Everything he did screamed face. They are really pushing him as a face, and I think that's a great idea because he's one of those guys that is so talented on the mic that he can easily turn his crowd angst to his opponent. And instead of trashing the crowd and talking about how fat they are and how uncoordinated they are, he can easily turn that to his opponent. I think it's odd and weird because you and I have talked about him being one of the best one of the best heels in the business, but I can legitimately see him as a top face with his character the way it is.
I don't know. I still think that he's still going to be straddling the line. I really don't think he's going to be like a vanilla babyface type guy.
No, he'll never be vanilla. He'll be one of those guys that is kind of straddling between heel and face. But I just think that he could easily make it a face character that people can buy into because it's realistic. I did love Jericho's about the scarves, though.
Yeah.
They had a night, especially during that interview where there's no protective barrier between me and you when Cody said that, and then Jericho's line about the scarves. I thought were just brilliant, but they were that kind of insider brilliance.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I loved. You had said that you were like annoyed by what. By them showing.
I was until I saw the whole picture. And
what I was going to say is that you and I are really into like characters just being characters, not necessarily having baby faces and heels. But
right.
But in this spot, I mean, they're clearly trying to establish the fact that the inner circle are heels. So what better way to do that than to put them in spots where us, as wrestling fans, to see them. When to see guys that they want to push pushed in a strong way, or by going out there and just making for everybody else that are in matches, or then by blowing those noisemakers and shit when Cody's trying to talk.
That's funny.
I mean, to me, everything they out there, including their entering the tag team title semifinals, was just brilliant heel work.
Well, and the thing that I said, I remember tweeting it to you, or sending it to you, not tweeting it, but. And I think I actually might have tweeted it too. I didn't like the fact that we have had Dark Order pushed down our throats for the last, 4 months? And to have them in the spot that they had, which for the smart fan probably realized they weren't going to win. Just because of the way they positioned Lucha Brothers against SCU, it kind of screamed that was the fun. But with the way they push Dark Order, and you've got SCU, which is fan favorites, and Scorpio Sky, which I get them, you don't. It is what it is. That's part of being a wrestling fan. I just didn't like the fact that was the match that they made their grand entrance. As end was, I didn't like that fact. But after watching the Omega versus Joey Janela match, I understood why they did it when they did it. And
why
it actually... just because of the quality of the Omega versus Janela match and the fact that we already knew as fans that Dark Order wasn't going to win it anyway.
Ah, okay.
Although Grayson, holy shit. Did you see him step on everybody's shoulders to deliver that stomp?
Aubrey Edwards? Yeah, that was
Yep.
awesome.
That was great. I loved it. That was one of my favorite points of the whole night.
And this part and the spot where he just went flying over the turnbuckle to hit, I think it was Kazarian, was amazing as well.
Yeah, and Tony Schiavone had said it, or was it Ross? I don't remember. It was one of the two. But they talked about how these guys have been one of the best tag teams in the world for years, and they kind of did a disappearing act. It's like, part of me was like, great, you find some kind of depth to this character. Why couldn't we have done that a month and a half ago?
No idea.
I remember when they
did
did
a month and a half ago, there was no AEW TV show.
No, but they had pay-per-views. They were on the pay-per-views after that original debut at Double or Nothing. I think you and I were the only two people on the planet going, "Hey, what are they doing?" And everyone else is like,
"Just us." But I get your point.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, it was the smart fans that knew who they were.
Yeah.
And there was a lot, because there always is, but there wasn't a whole. They didn't, to the AEW audience, they didn't have that hit. And we talked about that one night, about how they repackaged them and tried to bring them out here into this, make this great big presentation with them. But why did they not capitalize on it then? Why did they wait until tonight to finally say, these guys are great, you need to watch them?
That's a very good point. I mean, have they even been on television other than just doing the vignette last week? I don't think they've even been on television since AEW TV started. Yeah, it's just ridiculous not to even have them featured when they're they were the team that won the bye. So why wouldn't they be out there at least doing something, like with showing that they're waiting in the wings for that next match? I just don't get it.
I never understood the reason why they did the first round bye. I never understood why they played this to them being these unbeatable forces without giving us any history. And then to have them come out in their first round and lose a match that we knew they were going to. Anybody that has paid attention since the first episode knew it was going to be Lucha Brothers versus SCU with the whole face versus face confrontation. So the reason they built up the Dark Order the way they did, I don't get it. I don't get why they... I don't want to say they buried them, because they look great tonight. But not to let them win at least a round. I think this was one of those situations where there should not have been that first round bye. We should have had them in a match against anybody.
In all actuality, the tournament started at All Out,
right?
When Best Friends took on the Dark Order. So I mean, they can call it a first round bye all they want to, but it basically just worked as a first round tournament match, and then Best Friends got a second chance.
Right.
I mean, really, that's what it comes down.
Right. Never should have happened that way.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, how do I want to say this? It's like that. They want to put the Strawman out. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. All right, so like you said, everybody that's been watching it ever since week one knew what was going to happen tonight. And when that's the case, when you booked it to that point, then that's the time where you want to subvert expectations. And that's why I really thought like something should have happened where SEU was like, we're going to get revenge. You did to Christopher Daniels last week, and we're going to cost you this match. And then next week, then it should have been like,
Dark Order versus
taking
Private
on
Party.
Lucha Bros, or taking on, the Dark Order taking on, or no, SCU faced the Dark Order, right? So it should have been SCU then. It should have been SCU facing off against Private Party. And then maybe Pentagon and Phoenix come out there and do something either before the match starts or during the match to cost one of the two teams. So they either cost Private Party and they get their title match against SCU at Full Gear, or they cost SCU the match, and so Private Party are the first tag team champions. But either way, it should have been so that, since we were expecting one, was something else.
Well, even if they had gone out and had SCU cost Lucha Brothers, and then Lucha Brothers cost SCU same night, and we could have gotten Dark Order versus Private Party, it would have pushed Dark Order into the way that we have expected it and thought they were going to. And not just that. I mean, it would have been a surprise, but at the same time, with the way the TV has been leading up, it wouldn't have been. And it would have been nice to see Dark Order get that win against SCU. And Private Party, goddamn Cinderella story. You beat the Bucks, then you beat the Lucha Brothers, regardless of if SCU, pulls the trigger or whatever. You get a grudge match at Full Gear. You get a fresh tag match between two up and coming, and I hate to use the Smash Brothers as an up and coming star, but let's be honest, outside of the hardcore fans, no one knows who they are.
No, and like you said, with the gimmick that they started at Double or Nothing, and with what they're trying to do with them, they should have been on every show. They should have been doing something like some kind of dark, mystical, not just popping up on the pay-per-views and now up in the fourth week of the TV show. Because it certainly feels like they had big plans for them, and then for some reason they.
You can't push them. You can't push them to the moon, and then drop them off. You just can't.
Right.
And that's what the Dark Order.
Right.
And it was ill-advised because like I said again, going back to Double or Nothing, there were a lot of people who they were, but those were the smart fans. The AEW fans had no clue who Dark Order was. They knew nothing about, in Player 2. They knew nothing about these guys. And the only reason you and I did is because we've been wrestling fans and not just watching mainstream wrestling, but we've been watching independent wrestling for a long, long, long time. And I thought their debut, and I remember quite a few in the way that they played them off, but the way they have played them since then, they should have won tonight. They should have. It's just, or at least not gotten that first round bye and at least won one match in this tournament. To not win a match in this tournament, even though it was you, really hurts them.
It does. And actually, in my opinion, they should never have gotten that first round bye. I mean,
I agree.
I mean, even if they were going to do the first round bye, I mean, we already talked about this before. It should have gone to Jungle Boy and Lucha.
Right. Exactly.
And it would have been so much better because maybe Luchasaurus would have been ready to go tonight, and he wouldn't have had to miss last week's show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
I mean, because it was a hamstring strain. So I mean, those are kind of weird things that sometimes can take a week to heal. We have no idea when he's going to be back from that.
Yeah, and that's true. And I like the way they played that off too, as a hamstring. But you can just show up at any time.
Right,
and be
because
okay.
that's how those things are. They sometimes just pop back into place, and sometimes they don't. Anyway, so I just want to point out to everybody here that this show tonight, Dynamite, did not take place in fucking Britsburg. Britsburg is not a real goddamn place. It's a fantasy land, as Britt Baker is now the only woman in who has been on every single episode of the show.
And she's 2 and well, no, after tonight she's 3-2 overall.
And I realize that AEW, we've said it before, their weakest division is the women's division. And they need to make new stars. I just don't understand why they've chosen her.
Didn't we have this argument like 2 weeks ago?
They have Allie. They have Brie Baker. They have Awesome Kong. They have Aja Kong. And yet, this is who they choose to push. And I don't get it. I don't get why she's being shoved down their throats. I don't get why the crowd is reacting to her the way they do. I mean, obviously there's something with this chick that I'm missing, and I have no idea, what it is with her that's connecting with so many other people that's connecting with me.
Dude, you know when that's meant. She's portrayed as a genius because she has an MD. Do you know how long it takes to get a medical doctorate? And she has one. Granted, well, I'm just saying,
that doesn't help
she is already
doesn't help me connect with her. Go ahead.
And it shouldn't, because she's already positioned above you and me. 99% of the population that has never gotten an MD. She's a dentist, which everybody hates. You and I work for a dental company, and we know how much everybody's dentists. She is not in being positioned as somebody who should be loved, but yet she's.
I was talking to one of our coworkers today, and he told me this before, and I looked at him and I said, "You've never been to the dentist?" He said, "Say it a little." He's like,
"Yeah, you work for a damn dental. You go to a dentist." But that's kind of the way that it's. You look at her, and there's nothing about her that is like, okay, I can relate to her. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't get her popularity either. I don't know why people are connecting to who they are. And you've got Allie, you've got Riho. I mean, I get not connecting to the Kongs, but it's not just them. There are so many wrestlers on this roster, so many female wrestlers, where it's like, Jesus, can anybody get some food in their mouth? Why is it always got to be Britt?
Yeah, and I mean, Britt's popularity reminds me of the Kardashians. You're famous for being famous.
Right.
It feels like Britt's popular for being popular.
You know what? I kind of agree with you on that. And I think you and I might be the only two people on the planet that are not Britt fans.
Yeah, and I think we feel the same way about, or so not quite the same way, but a similar way about, what the fuck's her name in Impact? Tennille Dashwood.
Yeah, exactly. She's another one where I just don't get it. I got it kind of a little bit when she was Emma in NXT. Just there was something like charismatic about her. The second she got away from that image, she hasn't been the same. Connect with her no matter where she is.
Yeah. So I did mention a couple weeks ago on on Dynamite After Dark here that Britt was starting to grow on me. I was enjoying her work. I was enjoying her new submission hold, but I feel like she's. I honestly feel like she's Roman Reigns, 3 years ago in WWE, where they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing to the point where I just didn't even want to see him on my screen anymore. And I'd like to be able to just look at her and just let her grow as a performer, but instead, every week
you're annoyed. You're annoyed.
It's this woman, she is so dedicated. She became both a doctor and a wrestler at the same time. Well, that's awesome. She is.
She became a doctor
but just
a year after wrestling.
I don't need Willie Mack pushing down my throat that he was from the streets and he persevered. Mention it once or twice. If you keep bringing it up every single time, it's just going to get old and annoy me.
And I'm happy you brought up the Willie Mack thing, because that's been a bit of mine for almost a year and a half.
I know.
But And I agree with you. I mean, they have so much talent on the weakest part of their roster. Why has Allie not been on TV yet? Why? She's the star of that roster. We have a couple matches with Riho. We've had Nyla Rose out there. But you're right. Britt Baker has been out there every episode. Allie hasn't been on one. And Allie is probably the most well-rounded talent they have. That being said, and because we're getting close to time here, I really did like Brandy Rhodes attacking what's her name during that interview. That was such a good moment and such a great moment for Brandy that I enjoyed it a lot.
I liked it a lot, but it's all about the follow-up with that.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah,
but as far as
I want to know where it's leading it to, all that stuff. I'm assuming that it has something to do with what she tweeted out earlier in the week about like not accompanying Cody to ringside because now she's a liability to him. But I really like to see that frustration on Twitter also being followed up on television.
Yeah, and I agree. I really do. I want to see where it goes. I love the segment. I love the character development by Brandy, where she was not her normal cheery, I'm part of the company self. There's something that pissed her off to a point where she couldn't even talk.
Yeah. And I
Ow.
So again, it's nice. It's cool. I just want to know what the follow-up is.
Right. Exactly. And then, the main event, I did like a lot of what we saw. I really did. I liked Mox. I liked Pac. What are we calling him? Pac?
Pac.
I liked their performance. I liked the fact that Pac came out and was the bastard Pac by attacking him before the bell. That chair shot at the top of the ramp was one of the greatest. I don't know why it sounded the way it did, but it was one of the best sounds I've ever heard on a chair shot. Did you catch that?
Yeah, it kind of woke me up a little bit. Yeah.
Right. It was just one of those amazing moments. Like, holy shit. And then the way he attacked him and Moxley did a great job of selling that attack throughout the match. I love the fact that it went to that TV time limit draw, but not just the, hey, we got 10 minutes or 20 minutes. The way Justin Roberts, played it out there kind of led into the ending where he said, this is a remaining time limit draw.
Right.
Where it wasn't, hey, we got 20 minutes, we're going to stay as long as it takes. It was like, hey, you know what? We have some time left. That's how long this match is going to last. And the fact that it went to that time limit, I thought was really unique. I really enjoyed it. I know that, and maybe you're back, maybe it's because of the buffering, but I felt like it was the strongest AEW we've seen so far, as far start to finish. Yeah.
Wow.
It just, outside of that Booker match, which I felt like was good, but not on par with everything else. I loved every match. I loved the way that the Inner Circle and Cody and whatever his new faction is called, there were a couple of missteps there where I felt like maybe instead of DDP coming out, it should have been Adam Page.
Yeah, I was wondering why we didn't see him tonight.
But in aspect, I get it because we didn't have. I thought I missed something. Replay just started, and it started with both tag teams in the ring. And when I switched over to it, I was like, "What the miss entrances?" But anyway, I would have rather seen Page in that spot, or even the Bucks maybe coming out instead of Dustin and. But I was okay with it because great spot to the match, to the show, and everything involved in it.
Yeah, and you know what? I really liked the way that the show ended, because number one, you know, when you have the time limits, every once in a while a match should end in a time limit draw. And now we've seen it
Exactly.
twice. You know, we saw it once with the Cody versus Darby Allin match. Now we've seen it here with this one, and this one is the ending, which we haven't seen. I mean, the last time I remember seeing TV time remaining draw was probably Clash of the Champions 1 with with Sting versus Ric Flair, and then also, you know, just coming into the show, I was excited about Moxley versus Pac, but then at the same time, I had in the back of my mind, like, okay, so now they're giving this thing away for free with only a 1 week build up, where really this should be like a main event anywhere in the world. And now, of course, you know, we still have no definitive victory for either guy. So,
well, and the way that they played this off, I agree. This was a pay-per-view match. This was the pay-per-view match that we should have gotten instead of Omega versus Pac. You know, it should have been, you know, there should have been a lot. I felt like this was one of those ones that would have been a great lead up to that Omega versus Moxley match.
yep.
You know, and we got that tonight, but we didn't, like you said, we did not get that definitive answer. So we have last week where Moxley turns on Pac, you know, does his, I don't even know what he calls it anymore. It's been called so many damn things. Paradigm shift. And, you know, ends the match that way. And then we get tonight, we get a time limit draw. These are two guys that could be and should be the face of the company. And they are going toe to toe every single week. And they both have the same character. Damn, that was a good move. Sorry, watching the replay. They have this character. Both of them should be that top tweener. Not that top face, not that top bad guy. They both are cheered and loved, but at the same time have that edge. Pac a little more so than Moxley, but should be at the top of the card and should be that tweener that will just fight anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that they're booking this stuff, because, you know, for a while it seemed like, you know, between Omega and Moxley, you know, Omega was going to be the heel and Moxley was going to be the face, and now I couldn't tell you which guy, if either guy is more than just a tweener right now.
I will say this though, we get to watch Kenny Omega every other week, every week, 3 times a month. That should sink into everybody. He is the best in the world, and we get to see him 3 to 4 times a month.
Yes, absolutely. And
sorry,
so,
I'm on a big Kenny Omega kick.
Because, you know, because we never got to see him on national television until AEW started.
Well, and not just that. When was the last time we got to see the best in the world on American television, week in and week out?
Are you going to maybe bring up the Twitter wars again? Because I can certainly tell you that Seth Rollins thinks you get to see him watching Raw every single week.
I never thought he was the best in the world. I'm did.
Saying Seth Rollins believes he is.
Well, yeah, of course he does. But I'm going back to 2009, maybe 2008, when Randy Orton was on TV every week. Outside of that, we haven't seen the best in the world on American television week in and week out since then. We're talking 10 to 11 years.
Well, you could make an argument that for about a year we saw the best wrestler on the planet wrestling on SmackDown.
Who is that?
The phenomenal AJ Styles.
Yeah, but at that time he was already, like, okay. All right, fine, I'll give you that, because you and I were both, like, totally in love with him.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was 2014. That's still been almost 6 years. Because that was Royal Rumble of 14.
Well, no, it was 15. He debuted in Royal Rumble 15, right?
No, 16. It was 14.
No, it was 16.
No, it was not.
It was.
Was it?
It was.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot about him.
So it's basically 2016 to 2017. The best wrestler on the planet was wrestling on SmackDown.
And Raw, and he was a consistent presence.
Yeah.
So we had Orton in 2009. We had Styles in 14-15, well, 15-16, and now Kenny Omega. But Kenny Omega is coming in with a little less bravado than you guys did. Because he never had that American audience. I just think that, and I think, honestly, I think he is more talented in the ring than either of those two were. AJ Styles is the GOAT to me. By far the GOAT. It's between him and Jericho. Randy Orton was so good at storytelling and so good at his outside the ring antics that he made himself a ridiculous superstar. But Kenny Omega, by far, the best in-ring talent I've seen in the last 15 years.
AJ Styles, for a long time, to me, was the best of all time.
Right, I agree.
But
I still think he is.
Let me finish my sentence.
Sorry, yeah, I know.
Was the best of all time in the ring. He couldn't have been the greatest of all time in the ring because he wasn't on a big enough stage. That year that he was on top of WWE on SmackDown, which was probably the best wrestling show on the planet at that time, to be established that he is the greatest of all time now in the ring, whereas Jericho is the greatest of all time overall to me.
Right. Okay. Good.
So that's what you were like right there, neck and neck for me.
I'm glad you clarified that, because this run with Jericho is probably the best I've seen by him in a long time.
Oh, Chris Jericho is like a perfect combination of, like, I don't know, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Randy Savage right now.
Well, and not just that. On the mic, he's a perfect combination of those guys.
That's what I meant.
But
yeah,
he is so talented in the ring on top of that. It's like I wanted AJ Styles to go down as the GOAT. I did. That was my guy. I mean, it was Bret Hart, it was AJ Styles. But Jericho has won me over so much in the last year that I don't know that I can go away from him at all anywhere.
Yeah, I totally see that. He's like fine wine, brother. I should say he's like fine of the bubbly.
Fine of the bubbly. I did love the fact that when they were in the booth, or the whatever it was, their little VIP stage,
yeah,
they were cracking the bubbly. Sammy Guevara might have stole every one of those scenes just with the way goofy as he was. It was so fun watching him. I'm so proud of him to see where he is now compared to where he was just a year ago when you and I first fell in love with him.
And it's such an evolution of his character too, because like on Being the Elite, it was like basically like, oh, this guy's heard of me, that's great.
Right.
And now I've heard of him, but he's like the number one yes man to the.
Well, he's the top mid heel right now.
Right, but I mean, his character wise is like he's the
he's the yes man, yeah.
He's like the major domo to Chris Jericho.
Exactly. I'm so happy for him. I really am. And a lot of it might be because I watched his YouTube channel for so long. He is just phenomenal.
But if you want to stay
phenomenal.
But if you want to stay totally kayfabe, do not watch his YouTube show.
You can't, because he's so fucking humble. He is ridiculously humble. All right, I can't. I'm done watching it right now as we speak. Wow, we went a long time on this one.
We did. And what, 4 hours ago? So.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of sad.
Stop your whining. That's my job this week. You whine every other week.
I whine every week, not every other. Let's get it right.
I meant every other week besides this one is what I meant.
Oh, okay. All right, makes sense.
I was saying it's my turn this time.
It's still real you, isn't it? Damn it!
Don't steal my thunder.
Sorry, that NWO has stuck in my head for the last 2 weeks.
What was?
The fact that they brought that guy out of retirement to do his "It's Still Real."
Oh.
Have you seen that?
No.
Good.
Was I supposed to?
Yeah. No, don't.
Oh.
Skip over it.
I'm sure it's out there on social media, shit that I don't follow. So.
No, it's on the when you watch Power, and they're like every other commercial.
Oh, is that the
anyway?
Same guy, Austin Idol?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Anyway, Patreon, doing some new things. That we're gonna reorganize. We're gonna maybe eliminate a tier. I haven't decided yet, but it's something coming up. And if you like what you hear here on this channel or iTunes or wherever you're listening to us, check it. It's patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. We do a lot of exclusive content and a lot of history. Shane and I have been doing this since 2015. We've got a lot of shows out there that have never heard on this channel. Go listen to them. Small donation to us to help us continue to bring out this great product, and makes us happy. Makes Shane really happy. Just saying. 5-star us on iTunes, on iHeartRadio. Go to YouTube/Kingdom of Honor, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell. Hit the like button on everything you see, and we'll continue to bring you the product that we can. Also, our Twitter. I'm at Regi Co-op. I do a lot of wrestling, but I also want to hit up other things too: music, sports, everything. I'm kind of a gambler, so I talk about that occasionally too. Shane at Zanman LOP. You can get to both of us by just doing the hashtag K or hashtag DAD. KOH for Kingdom of Honor, DH After Dark, which is what you're listening to right now.
Yes, you are.
I think
also,
I got
a new plug is that all the LOP radio shows are now being uploaded to the LOP Radio, or the Lords of Pain YouTube channel as well. So,
nice.
So you can check out any of your LOP shows, starting with, I believe, earlier today's Sports Entertainment is Dead, being loaded to LOP Radio's, Lords of Pain's YouTube channel. So check it out there if you want to, check it out on YouTube. And tomorrow you'll be able to listen to IMS LOP Radio Adventure. On Friday, The Right Side of the Pond. And then we'll be back with you next week on Kingdom of Honor, and I believe we'll be covering the most recent Impact pay-per-view, which is, of course, Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory. So.
Yeah, that'll be on Monday. I don't know. I wasn't listening to you.
Fucking shocking.
Along with MLW, because I'm caught up. We'll also hit probably Impact. Obviously Impact with Bound for Glory. We've got MLW, and I am caught up on NWA Power. Another great episode.
What I may not have time to get caught up on this week is NXT.
Yeah, that's kind of my last dog in. It's like I got to be caught up on everything before I get that, and it's not
especially when we have a separate pay-per-view to watch now. So.
Well, yeah, and it's not anything against it. I love Ciampa. I love Gargano. I love the product. I love Undisputed Era. I'm just running out of time, dude. I mean, I can't even get Ring. I haven't watched Ring of Honor in 2 months because of it. It's just the big shows I watch by them now.
Yeah, I mean, now that we've kind of established the fact that we're covering this on a weekly basis on AEW Dynamite. The show's called Dynamite After Dark, which means we're going to be covering AEW, guys, not NXT on the show.
Right. We'll hit the NXT.
So chances are that NXT, might become for me like what it was before. I'm only watching the takeovers.
Well, and I still try to get it in, and that's a big thing for me is I want to get it in because I want to cover this. Quote unquote war that W has told everybody it is, and I still like the product. I really do. last week they had some WWE influences, but all in all, there were great matches on NXT. And I look
Yeah, it
forward
has to do
to
with liking
them.
the product or not. It has to do with, like you said,
Just
the
time.
and the fact that there's other products that I like better.
Well, yeah, and their AEW I'm liking better, NJPW I'm liking better, MLW. You and I have been big fans of that now for almost a year and a half.
And Impact is really, really good. So.
It really is. It really is. They have talent. They have. They're using some people maybe shouldn't be still wrestling, but in all honesty, it has been a very good product.
Yeah,
and then when
they just signed. I don't remember if you remember. Just at least I think I did, Jeff. I mentioned last week. I wonder, why Ace Romero hasn't been around on Impact when he was announced for the company, and now he's signed with. On AEW when he was announced with the company. Now he's signed to Impact.
Yeah, I saw that.
He made his debut in the 5-way ladder match at Bound for Glory. So.
And honestly, I say this because it's not something that we on a regular basis, but I am really starting to like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Yes, you can say that, and I still
have talent there. They have talent there that I wish was mainstream. I really, really do.
They have talent there that eventually will end up somewhere mainstream, and I'll see.
Okay, fair enough. Go to bed, show. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, we're done with this.
That's all. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying...
You did it. Goodbye.
Get the brands you love at littlewoods.com. Nothing beats a winter night in with the family and a box set. Get the LG 4K 43-inch TV with HDR for an unmissable $369. All with inclusive delivery and free returns. Hurry, offer ends 7th of November. Own it. Shop now at littlewoods.com. Air France.
La France
is in the air. Looking for a trip with a certain je ne sais quoi? With Air France, you don't just have to imagine. You can be shopping the chic streets of Paris, wandering the Forbidden City in Beijing, or heading for a wildlife adventure near Johannesburg. Find our best offers and let your imagination fly far, far away. Air France.
La France
is in the air. Book your flights from Birmingham Airport to or via Paris at airfrance.co.uk. .uk. 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 .uk.